Hi Mike and Meredith, this is Marty. I'm going to review the software that we're going to be using in the Learning Lab. It's called Digisonics. As well as the software, we can look at your cases, and if you have any questions, you can give me a call. So when you click on the icon for the software, this is the screen that will pop up. Notice that there's a list of patients here, patient name. They've all been identified or named according to the different cases that we're going to go over in the Learning Lab. To open up a case, you're simply going to double click and it will open up the patient or the case that you want to review. When it opens, it's going to go directly to the images. And you'll notice that the image in the center is your main image that you can review and or measure. On the right hand side, you have your thumbnails that you can either go forwards. Notice the icons on the bottom here. You can go forwards or you can go backwards. Okay, on the top of the screen here, you have work list. That was the list that just had the list of patients. To close out this patient, you would click close patient. Edit means if you wanted to edit any of the demographics by adding their weight or whatnot or height, which have already been added arbitrarily. Then the next icon that's fairly important is the calc, as well as the edit. This is where you can edit the measurements after they've already been added to the report. And then of course images and report. So if I were to click on the calculation button or the calcs right here, along the left-hand side, you're going to get this screen. These are the different, these icons right here on the top are if you wanted to go through a protocol of measurements, like all of the measurements that you would do in the peristernal or all of the measurements that you could do in the four-chamber. Typically, this is not ideal for a Learning Lab because we want to go over specific measurements. And to do specific measurements, I would recommend using these icons right here. So if I were to click on 2D, what you can do is you can pick the specific structure that you want to measure as well as the specific measurement that you wanted to measure. So let's measure the LVOT diameter. So I would identify it as LVOT and I would hit dimension. Then it's going to tell you right here kind of what to measure. Measure 2 points in the 2 points for the dimension. On this image right here, you have these icons on the bottom. This is play, stop. These are forwards and backwards of the thumbnails. So if I wanted to go to the next thumbnail, I would hit next. This is if you wanted to have this screen be the full screen of the image and not all this extra stuff. This is preview, which we don't have previews built in here on purpose just because it makes it a little bit more difficult for people to manipulate the software. If you wanted to increase or decrease the brightness, you could do that using this button right here. And then to go to the next frame, you can click the frame button here. Okay, so what we want to do is go to the ideal part of the cardiac cycle where we want to do our measurement. We're going to measure 2 points. If I like these 2 points, you can hit next, which is the next button here, or you can simply right click. RMB is right mouse button, or right click. Once you hit RMB, this measurement is going to go directly into the report. So again, we have calc, which gives you this screen that you can do your calcs. And then report, if I wanted to review all of the measurements, I would go to the report and I would see the measurements right here. So obviously multiple measurements have been done. If you go to edit, edit is an area where you can edit the measurements that you've done. You can do a couple things. I can double click on the measurement and it'll show you that we've done 3 measurements, that the average is 2.23, the max and the min. You can delete specific measurements. Say for instance, we thought 2.25 was too high. You can just click on it and then go over here on the right upper area and hit delete and it'll delete it and then give you a new average. Another thing that you can do is say we wanted to get rid of all of these measurements. We could just highlight, it's already highlighted, LVOT, and then hit delete. It'll ask you if you want to delete them all. You're going to say yes, and then all of your measurements will be deleted from your report, which you can see here. Okay, so no more measurements. So we have calcs, edit, and then images if I wanted to go back to images and report. Okay, so these are the typical basic measurements or the basic buttons that we're going to use. I'm going to go to your next study. This is a normal study. It's very, very normal. I'll show you the 4-chamber just to give you an idea here. Fairly easy to look at, and the image quality is pretty good. Okay, so again, there's the 4-chamber. To close this patient, again, we're going to go close patient, and it'll take us back to the work list. Here's the work list, and we're going to click on the next one. We'll double click, and it will open up the patient. This is an abnormal study. You have 2 studies. One's a normal study, which was the one that we just saw, and then this is the abnormal study, which has abnormal function, it's obviously a cardiomyopathy. And we'll review a couple more measurements here. So this is your abnormal study, and if you wanted to planimeter the mitral valve, this is a fairly normal planimeter, or the size is normal. I have also added a abnormal mitral stenosis at the very end of this case study on the laptop that you'll see at the Learning Lab. To measure this, again, you can pause either before or after the U-click calcs, doesn't really matter. And then we'll go to where we want to measure, or where we want to planimeter. That looks pretty good. And we'll go to calc. Again, we're going to use the 2D icon, and we're going to go identify it as a mitral valve. We're going to do area, and then we'll planimeter. So say I got a little crazy in my measurements, and I right-click. If you hit right-click again, it's going to go to the report. But say we already know that this is not the right measurement. To get rid of this, you can either delete it, or you can hit start over. Start over is easy because then you can just remeasure it. So we're going to start over because I didn't like that. And we'll just remeasure it a little bit better. When you're done measuring, you're going to hit right click. If you like it and you want it to go into the report, you're going to hit right click again. Okay, and then it tells you it's going to the final results. All right. Say we wanted to measure a left atrial volume. We can go to the 4-chamber, and if I wanted to just not get out of the calculation section, I would just click on 2D again, and it would give me the option to identify what we're doing. We're going to go LA, we're going to go single plane volume, and then I'm going to freeze, go to end systole, okay, and we'll measure. It's a spline measurement, so what it's doing is I'm just clicking along the area that we're tracing, and it's connecting the dots. When I'm done here, I'm going to hit right click. It'll give you your axis. Say for instance your axis was like this and you didn't like it. It says click on a different long axis apex. So we want to go right down the center because it's a Simpson's method of discs. And if I like it, it's RMB again is right mouse button, or it's a right click. And then again, this has gone into the report. To review the images in the report, you can go to a report and you'll see the measurements here. So, all right. Then let's go back to image, and we'll do a quick biplane. I'll show you some Doppler, and we're done. Okay. So if we wanted to do a biplane, you have zoomed up LV images in the abnormal study that you can do biplane. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to do a single plane. And let's see, we'll go here in diastole, calc, 2D. We'll click on LV. Obviously, if you want to do biplane, you can. For sake of time, we're going to do single plane. You're going to start at the annulus, go up, exclude the trabeculations, papillary muscle, down to the annulus, right click, it'll give you your axis. You can shift your axis as you want it. And then if you like it, you're going to hit right click, and then you're going to scroll to systole. So we'll scroll right through systole. You don't have to get out of the image or anything. Just scroll directly to systole. This guy's heart rate is pretty high. And then just start tracing. Once you start tracing, it'll get rid of your end diastolic measurement. Okay, right click. If you like it, you're going to hit right click again. Once you right click again, it'll ask you for the heart rate. You can just hit OK or right click to skip it. If you wanted the cardiac, or you wanted to estimate your cardiac output, you could enter in the heart rate. This is 130. In the 4-chamber where we looked at the LA, it was 91. So we'll just put in 100 as sort of an in-between, and then it'll estimate your cardiac output as well. Okay, so this is pretty much Digisonics. One other quick thing that is sort of nice to know. Doppler, if you were to click on a Doppler, once you click on the Doppler, it will give you a velocity, so a peak velocity, which is sort of nice if you wanted to just do a quick peek. As well, in the abnormal study is a TAPSE. This is the TAPSE. There isn't a structured measurement for TAPSE, but what you can do is to get out of the measurements right here, hit return. It'll get rid of the measurement screen right here. And then what you'll be able to do is you can right click on the actual image that you want to measure, go to Quick Calcs, and identify what you're going to be measuring, which is an M mode, and then you can do a TAPSE measurement from the M mode. Okay? So this is it. If you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. Hope this is helpful, and I look forward to seeing you guys. Take care.